Prairie Pursuit is brought to you by BL & Sons Construction, Black Rock Automation, Bushnell, Butcher's Best, Capital GMC Buick Cadillac Regina, JB's Sausage Supplies, Customize, North Pro Sports, Precision Instrumentation and Supply, Real Estate Center, Rock and Red Enterprises, K9 Training Center and Labradors.
We've been after a buck we've watched for 2 years now. We watched him last year a couple times. We stalked him a few times. We got back on him this year. We found him. We watched this deer probably about 20 days before opening day archery. We knew where this buck, he was bedding, where he was going, where he was sleeping. We kind of had a pretty good game plan, so I figured we were going to get a good opportunity at this deer this year. The wind's making it a little tough with the phone scope, but we know where he's at, so we're just going to let him bed down here and keep an eye on him. Lo and behold, opening day archery, we ended up stalking this deer in the morning. We got about 65 yards. We decided to crawl along this ridge line, and we figured the wind was right the way we had it. And we snuck along this ridge line, and we figured he was going to get up and he was going to come feeding down to this cattail slough.
I'm gonna keep sneaking along this ridge line here. I'm gonna see if we can't get a little closer. Maybe they'll feed down to us.
So we got in tight on him. We were sitting probably about 70 yards from where he was bedded, and we waited him out, and sure enough, this deer, it's like he read the script. He got up and he started feeding down right towards us.
Is he down here? He's coming right at us. He's walking right at us. He's right here. He's gonna walk right on top of us. I think I gotta take him.
We're gonna have a showdown of these two moose here pretty quick. The little guy doesn't want nothing to do with him.
We decided to crawl along this ridge line. We figured the wind was right the way we had it. And we snuck along this ridge line, and we figured he was going to get up and he was going to come feeding down to this cattail slough.
Is he down here? He's coming right at us.
So we got in tight on him. He got up and he started feeding down right towards us. Pretty windy that day, and you're going to see in the footage here that he comes in and he gets to about 32 yards, and I had him at broadside at 32 yards. And right when I was about to release the arrow, he actually turned and started walking towards us and was quartering towards us. He turned to the right and started feeding back in the field, and I was hoping he was going to take one more step to the right and give me a complete broadside shot, but he never did. He started feeding and walking towards us again here. By that time, when I ranged him, it was 32 yards, and I was at full draw, and he actually walked a little closer, so he's probably sitting around that 28 to 30 yards. And I released the arrow, and unfortunately, I heard a big thwack. And I knew right away that wasn't really a good sound because you're hitting pretty solid bone. So we watched him bounce off, and the arrow was still in him. And we watched where he went, and we watched him go up in the hills, and we kind of lost him from there. So we backed out and looked for him the rest of that evening. We never did find him, but the next day we went back out there, and sure enough, that evening, we got eyes on him again.
Yeah, that's him. That plan worked out perfect. That deer fed right to us. We're gonna go over the hill and just see if we can't get an eye on him here. It's him or not, but we're gonna back out and sneak around this little draw and come from the other side to get downwind of him again.
So this year's mule deer hunt, it was a pretty good experience. We've seen lots of great animals, lots of different wildlife. And we also seen some elk in the area, which is not very common for here. But we did see, I don't know, there must have been maybe 3 or 4 cows and a couple, 2 or 3 calves and 3 bulls. One was a really nice bull. We seen them running through the crops, and that was a really nice picture to see too. So that's good to see some different wildlife. That adds to the experience and to the hunt. We came up with a game plan again. We went back the next morning. We found him. He crawled back up in the hills and he bedded down in some canola. So we watched him for a while and ended up, we trailed him out. He came out and he went down in the bottom of this slough where the cattails were. So at that time I knew, well, it's game on. That's how I stalked him last year, and I got about 12 yards from him and didn't realize he was there and blew it. But this year I knew he was there, and we got in tight on this deer. We snuck down the hill and we waited. It was a cold, windy, rainy day, and we froze, but it was worth it. This deer, he ended up coming out. He was about 10 yards from us, and I waited and waited, and Braden said he was right there, and I looked and I couldn't see him. And then I said, where? And he said, he's right there. So I stood up, and I thought he was laying down, but the cattails were pretty high. So I crouched back down, and he was literally right there. So I ended up letting the deer come out a little bit more, and I think it was about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes that we sat there and watched this deer right in front of us. And the wind was in our favor. I stood up, and the deer looked away. I stood up and I drew back, and when I released the arrow, unfortunately I caught some cattail, and my arrow actually went up at an angle and hit him high in the back. And you're gonna see in the footage, I think we might have turned the camera off because I was pretty disappointed at the time. I think I threw my hat and was kicking dirt clumps, but I watched this deer. He was definitely hit, and he was hit pretty good. Decoys out. Scents out. We're gonna hide along this drainage ditch. Hopefully fill 2 more tags. So we shot an elk first thing this morning here. Hit him, I think 3 times. We heard some good hits. Watched him, gave him some time here, and slowly walked in the bush, and we see him laying right here. So let's go have a look. I was sitting, and first thing this morning, these elk came out. There was a couple cows and some calves. I didn't even have time to get the camera out. I was by myself, and I closed the distance a little bit on him. He was still a pretty far shot. He was probably close to 400 yards. I'll take a bull like that any day. That is gonna be excellent meat. Just pumped to get any of these kind of animals on the ground. I was lucky enough to get a couple shots on them,
and I hit him with three pretty good ones I heard, so I knew he was hurting, and sure enough he ran in the bush here 60 yards, and this is what we got.
Good job.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Hunt with you because I need meat in my freezer.
We came up with a game plan again. We went back the next morning. We found him. He crawled back up in the hills and he bedded down in some canola. So we watched him for a while. We trailed him out. He came out and he went down in the bottom of this this slough where the cattails were. So at that time I knew, well, it's game on. That's how I stalked him last year, and I got about 12 yards from him and didn't realize he was there and blew it. But this year I knew he was there, and we got in tight on this deer. He ended up being about 10 yards.
Is he standing?
I think it was about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes that we sat there and watched this deer right in front of us, and the wind was in our favor. He was definitely hit, and he was hit pretty good. So we watched where he went, and same thing. He went around some sloughs and over a hill, and we kind of lost sight of him. From that point, you know, I went over the footage, and you know, it was tough to tell. It was a questionable shot for sure. Unfortunately, it didn't hit him in the best spot. But we looked for this deer for 2 months afterwards. We hunted this deer hard. We walked, we glassed, we drove, walked a ton of sloughs, a ton of bushes, lake bottoms, just come up shorthanded every time. But you know, we didn't give up on this deer. I knew rifle season was coming, and the rut was going to come on. I thought maybe I was going to see him in there. Heard a rumor that there was a big deer found, dead unfortunately, in the area. So I called the guy, wanted to come have a look at him. And sure enough, you know, if it wasn't for Doug Ryan and Cade Gilchrist, they came across this deer. And you know, once I showed them the footage and some of the pictures, and they were generous enough to give me back the antlers. So I was pretty fortunate and pretty grateful that they did that for me. So I did end up getting the deer. He grosses 208, and he nets 202 and 6H, which is fantastic. It's my biggest archery deer. Yeah, I'm speechless. This animal has just been pretty special to me. You know, unfortunately, no hunter wants it to end this way. You always want to find your animal and be able to recover them. But you know, at the end of the day, we can only do what we can do and do our best. So that's the way it goes sometimes, and that's hunting. I'm Calvin Coleman, and you're watching Prairie Pursuit.
Prairie Pursuit is brought to you by BL & Sons Construction, Black Rock Automation, Bushnell, Butcher's Best, Capital GMC Buick Cadillac Regina, JB's Sausage Supplies, Customize, North Pro Sports, Precision Instrumentation and Supply, Real Estate Center, Rock and Red Enterprises, K9 Training Center and Labradors.